I am Ed Cummings. I live 2 miles north of Stevensville on the west side. 4 or 5 years ago, we had a pack of wolves that each year denned just above our ranch in a roadless area. While they were denning there, we lost somewhere between 12 and 20 calves. When those wolves den by your place, it's like having a bunch of hornets in the top of your house. Doesn't do you any good just to kill one hornet at a time. Since that time period, there have been some changes. There have been some environmental changes. A fire, forest fire, burned out the area where those wolves were denning. A neighboring ranch about 10 miles away has developed a wildlife sanctuary where elk can winter. I have been involved with some self-help. Kill the wolf. We dump septage. That is, we have a contract with the septic company, and we dump septage on parts of our ranch. Wolf's sense of smell is something is exponential to ours. Something like 10,000 times more sensitive. We're more concerned and efficient burying our dead animals. When a cattle ranch animals die, we bury them right away. I have changed and am currently changing fences around the ranch from wildlife-friendly fences to wildlife non-friendly fences to keep the elk off of my place so that the wolves don't follow them down. And I have done whatever I could trying to generate publicity and change public perception. I wore out old Mike Howe's phone over there for a while, calling him. The government has also been involved. They've killed wolves, and the wolves have now been delisted. Since that time when we had trouble with the wolves, we're no longer having trouble with the wolves. The only sign I've seen of a wolf was one track crossing the place last winter. My neighbor said he saw one not too long ago. We have also seen our elk numbers, and I don't know why, go from as high as 130 that we would count in the mornings down to now we won't see more than 30, 32 at any given time. I have some recommendations, and this may not be in keeping with my predecessors. Go slow with what you do. Government culture is a different culture than agriculture and wildlife. I don't want to see us end up someplace with some kind of a wolf tax per head on cows that we're supposed to pay the government for protecting our cows. On the other hand, if we don't get a control on this, the alternative is the historically terribly effective and cheap way of controlling wolves, and that's with poison. You don't want to push people into a position where they're out there poisoning wolves. The only selective way to kill wolves without killing everything else that feeds on carrion is with rifles. My recommendation to you is to give this rifle hunting a chance and you have a fallback position. You could open a shoot on sight period for rifle hunting, and you even got a further fallback position, which is put a bounty on those wolves.
Amen.
But in the meantime, let's think about what we're doing here. I'm going.
Infinite wisdom has given us all kinds of regulations to protect us. You know, you think about it, safety glasses, hard hats, seat belts, every other thing that goes along with it. In addition to that, they make people culpable for carrying on that safety. You know, if you don't wear your seat belt, you get a ticket. If you don't put your kid in a booster seat or whatever it is, you're culpable for their injuries. If you have a bad dog and your dog goes over and eats your neighbor's chickens, or God forbid kills one of your neighbor's children, you're culpable for it. My question is that when one of our children, grandchildren, relatives gets killed by one of these wolves, who's going to be culpable? Who's going to, you know, are we going to be able to sue the government, you know, for being that bad neighbor that has the bad dog that comes on our property and, you know, takes our children? I mean, we got a lady that's, you know, going back and forth from her garage from her house with a weapon to protect herself. You know, we need to get a handle on this wolf problem before that happens, before we have one of our children taken by this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Shirley, and I have a Two Feathers Ranch down in Darby. It's part of the old Chief Joseph Ranch, and from our house we can see Highway 93, so we're not too far away from civilization there. We have lots of elk and deer down in our place, far fewer this year. I was counting the elk the other night, and we had 64 out there in our field. And I don't mind them eating in our field because we enjoy having them there. And ours isn't that a commercial operation in that sense. But that's down from close to 150 in past years. And the deer, we've had so few deer this year, I have no idea what's happened to them. But we used to see 80 to 100 wandering through our place all the time. Now if we see 10 at a time, it's pretty unusual. Our operation is to breed Black Angus cattle. So we have the cows and the calves down there, along with the elk and the deer. And frankly, would never have been surprised if I would have seen one of our calves or a calf elk or a fawn killed by wolves. But I never expected that one of our horses would be. We have had 13 performance horses on the ranch. And our horse Jack was killed by wolves on May 17th, which was his 13th birthday. The wolf kill was verified by a USDA trapper, and the circumstances were clear and unequivocal. Jack was the friendliest of our horses, always ready for a treat, and the one we would use for children or inexperienced riders who visited our ranch. The natural wolf habitat is not around ranches, people, and domestic animals. They kill indiscriminately, causing substantial financial impact, as you've heard from other speakers, and perhaps as importantly, if not more, grievous emotional damage to the families involved. And you can sense there's a little emotion going on here right now. The families involved in this killing of our pets. While we may wish that we can undo the reintroduction of wolves, we likely cannot. What I can do is everything in my power to ensure that wolves are not here to kill any more of our animals. And I hope with all my heart that you will do so as well. All Jack's friends thank you, as do I.
I have absolutely noticed a difference in what happened with the wolves when they came in. Last year I wrote the largest article ever on, for Hunting Illustrated by 10 Commandments of Elk Hunting. I tell people that the 10 Commandments of Elk Hunting were not written by the hand of God, they were written by me. But that's as close as you're going to get when it comes to elk hunting because of the experience that I've had. And anyway, with that, they want me to do a book that they want to publish out of the article. Most articles are 550 to 700 words. This was over 6,000, to give you a little bit of an idea how big it was. And the saddest thing I can think of right now is I go downtown in Darby, and I look at all of the businesses that are gone. People that I've known for most of my lifetime, out of business, have been there forever. It's just terrifying. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about is I had a little sheet that I typed up, and it's on. I have three of encounters that we've had with wolves. We've had more in our family than this, but the one that I think is probably pertinent was it was either late May 1989 or 88, somewhere in there. And my wife and my son were antler hunting up on the Scalco Hole. They were on the Rock Creek Divide. And they came across the wolf den. Now, when they came across the wolf den, my son Mike, he was 15 years old, he went right through the den. He got within about 40 yards, there were 4 cubs. And the she-wolf was over there about 60 to 80 yards away from him. And they just watched. Now, these were the Montana timber wolves. Now, at the same time, when they came home, they were really excited about it. Now, at the same time, they had signs up all across the valley in all the sporting goods stores saying, if you see a wolf, please call us, we want to know. So, like an idiot, I did call. And I called Mike Jimenez, who was the regional federal wildlife biologist for wolves. He came to the house. He called us all kinds of names, said we didn't know the difference between a wolf and a coyote. I said my son had a pet coyote for, he's got foxes right now on his pens. And I said, we've all seen wolves. My buddy Kurt lived up 9 Mile. He had 640 acres. And, that's where the 9 Mile wolf pack was. And so anyway, it got so bad, the way that he insulted us, I finally told him to leave and not come back. Well, about a month and a half later, someone got those wolves on video. And they took them, not to him, they took them to the TV station. And they were on the news. The next day, he's back at our house, telling us it's our duty to take him up and show him where the wolf den was. I said, after the way you treated me, I said, you can leave right now. I said, you're not welcome here, get out. Which he did. Now the reason that we didn't know that they called us all these names and insulted us like they did, and they had the signs up, is that if there was a population of gray wolves here in the valley, they weren't supposed to be in the area, they weren't supposed to be able to reintroduce the timber wolves. And that's the reason for the insults. But that gives you a little bit of history. Now we'd seen timber wolves before up here, but that's the reason. They knew.
Thank you, Brandon. Tracks were here.